Hey guys, this next top 10 is top 10 games that we like to play as kids. Not all of us were video gamers, but those of us who were have very fond memories of things like the Nintendo 64 and even the Super Nintendo or the PlayStation 1. Check out our top 10 and let us know if you agree or not.
At number 10 is Crash Bandicoot 3, also known as Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. While being a predominantly single-player game, Crash Bandicoot is better enjoyed with friends in the wee hours of the morning while riding a sugar rush from lollies and soft drink. At number 9 is Wolfenstein 3D. This game is the grandfather of all first-person shooters. What makes this game so much fun is that while the game is very linear and there's only one path to the end of the level, every side path has something to find, be that treasure, ammo, extra lives, or even a shiny new gun to better kill Nazis with. At number 8 is Wonder Boy in Monsterland. This game is both fun and incredibly frustrating. The game didn't have any way of saving your progress, which meant you had to complete the game in one sitting or you start again from the beginning. As fun as this game was growing up, you could only play it for so long before the need to throw the controller at the TV became overwhelming. At number 7 is Fallout 2. Its open story combined with its weird and wacky post-apocalyptic humour and multiple endings, Fallout 2 was a favourite of ours growing up.
I kissed a pillow dream on, and my imagination will thrive upon that kiss. Sweetheart, I ask no more than this.
At number 6 is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. A classic Nintendo game if there was one. I'm sure many of you have poured hours and hours into Link's quest to save Hyrule, and its large open world and complicated dungeons. At number 5 is SimCity 2000. The depth in SimCity 2000 is astonishing. From organising public transport to attempting to keep lazy Sims happy. This game will keep you glued to the screen for hours. The difficulty curve is very steep, so I recommend playing with an experienced friend first before trying to run a city on your own. At number 4 is Doom. The successor to Wolfenstein 3D, Doom had an improved game engine, larger levels, and lots of different kinds of aliens for you to sink your chainsaw into. Doom also included the ability to look up and down, which at the time was a never-before-seen feature in the first-person shooter genre. And number 3 is Mario Kart 64. Remember the days when if you wanted to play a multiplayer game, you had to invite someone over to your house and buy a second controller? Mario Kart 64 is the embodiment of these days of old. Many a friendship has been forged or broken over a single Koopa shell. At number 2 is Super Mario World. With its more open and less linear gameplay, Super Mario World allowed players to venture around Dinosaur Land and veer off from the main storyline to explore other places for coins and Yoshi eggs. And the number 1 game we played as kids is Sonic the Hedgehog. For a lot of people, Sonic the Hedgehog was their first experience with console games, as it was bundled with the Sega Mega Drive. This blue ball of speed provided a real challenge to players as they would try and beat levels as fast as possible, while avoiding bottomless pits, spikes, and all the wildlife in the game trying to kill you. So that was top 10 games we played as kids. I think it brings back a lot of memories for all of us here, I think we can say. I mean, especially because we had such a huge involvement in this list.
Doom,
I mean,
yes.
It was all put together. Yeah, Doom was a good one.
I think
one of the first games I ever played.
I'm just glad like one of my favourite games, Wonder Boy and Monsterland, got on the list.
I remember playing that as a kid. Like, I had it on a tiny little CRT TV, like on the floor in my room with the Sega Master System.
When we went to Japan, I actually found an arcade machine that had that on it, and I just like pretty much sat there.
Is that what you were playing?
Yeah.
Ryan, we gotta go. No.
You guys were all standing outside for 15 minutes. I was just in there like dumping coins into like an arcade machine. It was awesome. All right, but now it's time for Vince's Halo retrospective.
Over time, things change, and the same thing can be said for video games. Not only the graphics, but the amount of content that is jammed into games these days can be nearly endless. One thing I've always found interesting to observe is the slow but gradual progression of a game series. Watching games change in a subtle and more obvious way to suit shifting tastes and new platforms can be very entertaining. One great example of this is the Halo series. Halo 1 at the time was the game to buy on the original Xbox. It was a system seller for Microsoft and formed an incredibly large fan base in all corners of the globe. It was a hit overnight, and from then on, each game that was announced in the series was eagerly awaited for, and I was one of those people who rocked up to each and every midnight launch. Before Halo came to be, there was a game that was originally announced for the Mac and the PC as a third-person shooter. It was developed from around 1998 to the release of Halo Combat Evolved, originating as a strategy game before turning into an over-the-shoulder cooperative online game, and finally being retooled as a straight-up FPS for the Xbox. As the game evolved, several vehicles and weapons were cut, while others were completely redesigned. The thing that really captured my attention about the eventual release of Halo was the storyline. Most people know it to be a simple action game where humanity is under attack and you're a superhuman robot thing that destroys aliens, and in short, yeah, that's what the game is about. But one day, a friend of mine let me borrow the Halo books from him, and I've realised that the scope of the Halo universe is incredible. Over the years, the face of Halo has changed quite dramatically, but at the same time retaining its originality. The Master Chief's Mjolnir power armor is iconic and has gone through some serious upgrades over a period of 13 odd years. With each alteration, his armor has become more and more menacing, from a shiny cardboard looking green suit in Halo 1 to a high resolution human tank in Halo 4. There's not really much more you can say in summarizing the progress of Halo's main character. Chief's AI, Cortana, has also gone through just as many changes. In Halo 1, she was your handy helper who gradually turned into something almost demonic through the following games. Though she is handy with showing waypoints and giving hints on what to do next, she reminds me a lot of Na'vi from the Ocarina of Time, constantly pestering you but helpful to the very end. Now, we can all agree that the Halo series has had some massive graphical changes, and had countless new ideas implemented into it, but also had vital things taken away in the process. In Halo 2, two of the most iconic weapons were removed and replaced. Firstly, the Magnum was replaced with what everyone considered a pea shooter. It was nowhere near as strong as the original Magnum and soon became a rarely used weapon. The assault rifle was replaced with the battle rifle, which didn't go down too well with the fans initially, but soon everyone ended up liking the replacement. Halo 3 brought back these weapons, of course. More weapons were added into the game series here and there, which excited players for online and offline multiplayer. There were many additions that were implemented into the Halo series that grew its popularity among the masses. Each and every implementation has a little backstory due to Bungie's way of life, because, well, it's Bungie. That's what they tend to do. Dual-wielding weapons turned heads for Halo 2, but sadly, this option was removed after Halo 3 and wasn't brought back. Yet. The skulls randomly lying around in Halo 2's campaign changed your gameplay if you picked them up. Changes such as removing your heads-up display or even making your enemies incredibly harder to defeat. They were just for fun and for people who were hunting for those extra random items in games. Halo 3 continued the skulls but made them proper collectibles, and that was as far as it got. Skulls were stopped as collectibles and turned into plain game modifiers from Halo ODST onwards, except for one special exception in Halo Anniversary. The very first sighting of the energy sword was in Halo 1's The Silent Cartographer level, but was not a usable weapon at this point, which drove the community mad, including myself. Bungie was already on top of this and put it into Halo 2, which changed the way people play Halo to this day. Not only did you get one of the Covenant's most honourable weapons, but you got to be an ever so intimidating elite through the campaign as well as the multiplayer if you wished. The switching between the Arbiter and Chief throughout the storyline exposed gamers to the true depth of the Halo universe. Due to Halo's rival in the first-person shooter genre, Call of Duty, Bungie decided to spice up its new installment, Halo Reach, with some armor abilities that allowed you to pick one perk that you could use at any time, such as sprinting, invisibility, or even a jetpack, among others. When Halo 4 was released, sprinting had become part of the character's standard loadout. Though the game somewhat conformed to what the gaming community was after, they still managed to stay afloat with originality. Soon after releasing Halo Reach, Bungie handed over the crown to 343 Industries and headed down a slightly different path than the one they were currently on, to announce Destiny. There is evidence in Halo ODST that shows that Bungie was working on this game long before anyone knew anything about it. With the series now under new management with 343 Industries, I feel that Halo is turning into a love story. Though I don't quite agree with the direction that the series has been heading since Halo 4's release, I can say that it's still damn entertaining overall. I've yet to discover a game that makes me feel how I felt when I played Halo for the very first time. In a way, I hope I don't find it for a while, as I think the Halo series has a long way to go before it reaches the point of no return. But I guess we'll see what happens when I get my hands on Bungie's new game, Destiny.